Cuba, it's me, episode 59 of The Willu Show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Now, on today's show, I wanted to give a little bit of thanks and payback to 10 wrestlers who helped me out in many different ways, and I just wanted to say thank you. I may or may have not said it to their faces, but I just wanted to put it out there for other people to hear, and let's do this. It's no particular order, just people that have helped me, and I'll tell you the reasons why they helped me. The first person that helped me was the 21st Century Fox. Who remembers her? A great women's wrestler who had a lot of great matches over the years. The 21st Century Fox drove me to like hundreds of shows. I didn't drive at the time, and neither did Eddie Osbourne, and we would get in the car and we'd have other people in there, and she was always the driver, so we'd go down there, wrestle our matches, and then she'd drive back, sometimes like really far distances. I can only imagine the amount of kilometers she drove us so we could go and pursue our dreams of being wrestlers. Fox, I've always been close with you, but I've thanked you here and there, but I really do appreciate it. I would have never had so many great memories and so many opportunities if it wasn't for you willing to drive, and it meant a lot to me. The next person on the list would be Geza Coleman Jr. Now, Geza, I don't know if he took a liking to me or he just felt bad for me. Like, I'm sure he thought I was like a young punk, but he still was nice to me, and he used to give me opportunities to get in the ring, and I was just blown away because here's a guy I looked up to and had ultimate respect for, and over the years he would try his best to give me advice, and a lot of times I didn't take it. Later on I did, but still to this day, I wish I would have just tried to understand what he was saying. But you know how sometimes you can't learn a lesson until you learn it yourself, no matter how many times people tell you? But Geza always tried to like take me and be like, dude, why are you doing this way? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you gotta do it this way. And then I'm like, no, but this is what I think. And obviously I was wrong, but I wish I would have learned earlier. But I still want to ask him for his advice. Like, he was at the last show I did, and I wanted to ask him his advice, but the match wasn't something that I even needed to ask him about because, hey, I already knew what the deal with that match is, and I just felt bad that he had to be there. And I really wish I could have got his respect. I know he did say one thing nice to me a little bit like a year or two ago when I was refereeing. What the heck does refereeing mean? Wrestling Ruffy Silverstein, and that meant the world to me. Geza, thanks for always just, I don't know if you're caring or took pity on me, but you didn't have to, and I know you didn't do that for everybody, but you actually tried to help me out, and that meant a lot. The next person on my list is Quinton Valentino. Now, I wrestled him like 5 or 6 times, and the first time we wrestled, he pushed for me. It was like me and him and someone else in a 3-way match. I think it was Eddie Osbourne, yeah, and Godrich. And they were both the bad guys and I was the one little guy, and he was supposed to win. And like other people have told me that he can be a bit of a prick, but not in my experiences. He was always really good to me. He fought with the promoter and was like, this guy's gonna win the match, not me. Most people have such big egos, they want to win, but he was like, it doesn't make sense. He was always about the crowd and the show first. He's like, you're gonna tell me that these two guys are gonna fight this little good guy and he's not gonna win? And then he always told me that I could do more than I was, and he always bring the best out of me, and he always pushed for me. Like, he asked to wrestle me at one of Chuck's shows, like when I wasn't even booked, and Chuck was like, oh, there's a couple guys here, you can wrestle whoever you want, and he asked for me. And Quinton, to me, I don't judge people by what everybody else says about them. I go by how they treated me, and he always treated me really good. The next person on my list would be Jesse Jones. Now, Jesse was one of those people that was way ahead of his time. He filmed every time he had a match, kind of like Warhead. He would film every match he ever had and film a lot of other people's shows. And I would ask him and beg him, and he would always film my match too. And then he would let me record it onto VCR tapes. I have so many old tapes, and then I could study them and see what I was doing wrong, and still took me a while to figure it out. But Jesse was always, and he still has a lot of other matches of mine on tape that we haven't been able to link up and stuff like that, but he always was nice enough to, give his battery time on his camera and or give me his time to show me how to record it and stuff. So I always will thank you for that now, because when I get older, I still have a lot of these old memories on tape thanks to Jesse Jones. The next person on my list is Eddie Osbourne. This man got me booked so many times where he would get a booking and say, oh, by the way, I have this other guy I could bring along. And then also, once the PWA started thing, he always gave me opportunities to wrestle people, and so I could showcase and get better, and just, I'm forever grateful for him. I'm not going to go into great detail because I did an Eddie Osbourne tribute about a week or so ago, so if you really want to hear how I feel about him, then check out that episode. The next person on my list is Ruffy Silverstein. I don't know why he liked me. The first time I met him, he was training this guy named Cutthroat, who some of you might know, and I was like, I don't know if it was Cutthroat's first match, but it was one of his first matches, and Ruffy was pleased with me for some reason. I think it's just because I gave his student some confidence, and I let him try all this stuff, and I didn't complain about anything, and I just went out there and I just did the best I could. And then after that, we wrestled, and I don't think in my mind I didn't do very well, but he still for some reason liked me. And then he did a show in Newmarket that Canyon was on, and he was the one booking the show, and he picked me to be Canyon's partner, and I'll always remember that. And then years later down the road, we worked like 4 or 5 matches, and he taught me things that I hadn't even thought about yet. He didn't do that for everybody, and I wanted to learn, so maybe that helped, but he actually took so much time. Not even, he didn't care about what the match, I'm sure he did, but he didn't take his time to put it into the match. He took his time into teaching me things that could help polish me even more and more. And I don't know why he liked me, but I was forever honored, and he will always hold a special place in my heart. The next person is Reggie Marley. Now, Reggie was always one of the locker room leaders, and he always conducted himself, so I learned from him that way. But he also gave me the opportunity to have more confidence in myself, because we would just go out there and wrestle and figure it out. And I owe him a lot for that, because at first I thought maybe he was just being lazy, but I think he saw in me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he saw something in me where he's like, you know what, the kid's got to just go out there and do it, and he can figure it out. And now I have so much confidence now in my work. I know I can just go out there with anybody, and I'm going to do the best I can do, and I know that it's going to be decent. The best thing is, I always looked up to how he conducted himself. He always dressed professionally, acted professionally, and sometimes he would give me these little tidbits of advice. I'd ask him a question. I don't even know if he was meaning to give me advice, but his answers would just open my mind. I'm I never looked at it that way. And plus, he's very creative. People don't give him enough credit. He's come up with these certain moves for me and for other people, and man, the guy's got a great mind for the business, and I'm just glad that I met him and got close with him and have spent so many times being on shows with him. The next person I'd like to call out would be Sid Summers. Now, Sid was my very first trainer, and he was good trainer. He really knew the basics, every single detail, and he was very encouraging too. He pushed for me so many times when that horrible Ike Shaw would try and cut me down and be negative and try and get me out of the school, because he had already got my money, so why would he want me around? But Sid Summers always pushed for me, and he liked that I was unique. He'd say, well, your bumping is kind of weird, but it works for you. And he always said things, he was positive, not all the time, but just enough to keep you going. And I feel he trained me right. The technical wrestling, the man has it down pat. And I always will appreciate him as my trainer. And another guy that I appreciate as a trainer was Juan Ortiz. Now, me and him butted heads at the beginning. And I think he was just too in your face, and I didn't want to hear what he had to say. So if he was saying something to criticize me, well, it was true, but I didn't want to hear it. But then he I remember this one day. It was like a Saturday, and I was shoot fighting against him, and he beat me like 7 times in a row. We shot fight for like 2 hours. Is that a right shot fighted? We did shoot fighting for like 2 hours, and he beat me like 7 times in a row. And the one time I got him in a move, and he tapped out. And to this day, I think he just let me win because like he wanted, something to go by. Like I kept trying, I didn't give up, and I kept wanting more and more. And I think he just gave me that little bit just to keep my confidence up. But he like I said, we butted heads at the beginning a bit because I was a stubborn young punk, and I just seen it my way, and I wasn't willing to open my eyes to anybody else's opinion. But now I appreciate him so much more, and when he does come around to the shows, yeah, he's got his silly sense of humor or whatever, but he'll take me inside and like not even just wrestling, but life advice. He knows, he's a very smart guy, and I'm just glad he was part of my life too in my training. He taught me a lot of like amateur wrestling too and that kind of stuff, and he's very good at that. The next guy, well, I'm going to say the Highlanders, and I'm just going to put them together because they both helped me so much. There's only 10 on the list, so they can go together. Everyone remembers them together anyway. They helped me so much, like, working out-wise. That was the main thing. Then, when they got really good, they would help in the training a lot and teach me some very important things. And then I remember after they were in WWE, they came back and did some shows with us, and, like, I remember, like, Rory McAllister was always so positive. He always just like, because he had been there and done that, and he knew like sometimes if you just give a little word of encouragement, like you can say all the bad things, that's how people learn, is tell them what they did wrong, but he would just throw something in there too to make you feel like, you know what, I can do it. Like he was very encouraging. And I remember Robbie, like I remember this one time I wrestled Jesse Jones in Cambridge, and after the match, I guess I didn't even ask him, which I mean I should have. But Robbie McAllister watched my whole match, and he pulled me aside, and he, like, told me so many other things. Like, he was, like, just about timing and, like, selling and, like, my character and, like, how I, like, connecting with the audience, and, like, it blew my mind. He talked to me for, like, 15 minutes, and that day, my whole view on wrestling changed, and I feel like I got it, even though it took me a long time to put it all together, and I'm still working on that to this day. And so those are the 10 people that have really helped me. There's some other guys that have really helped me too, like Thorne and Lenny Lilac and stuff, but I mean, I can only fit so many on the list. Maybe I'll do another list down the road, but for now, these 10 guys and girls, thank you so much for everything. I do appreciate it. Like, when I look back and I'm an old grandpa, and I will always cherish you people and anybody else that ever helped me, but I mean, I don't want this to be a 45-minute video. So this is the episode 59 of The W.I.L.L.I.W Show. Remember, like or you get a leg drop, comment or you get a clothesline, subscribe or you get a suplex. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling. Cuba!